Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are taking a pretty dramatic detour from the usual world of finance. If you were expecting, technical analysis, spreadsheets, all of that, you should probably prepare for fundamental rethinking.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Our sources today suggest that financial success has almost nothing to do with math.
And everything to do with emotional management. That's the entire premise we're unpacking today, and it's sourced mostly from Morgan Housel's remarkable book, The Psychology of Money.
Right.
Our mission here is to pull out those foundational, timeless truths about the money mindset.
Yeah.
We're bypassing the usual financial advice completely.
So no formulas.
No formulas. We're focusing squarely on the messy, complex human behaviors that actually dictate long-term wealth.
Okay, so let's establish the central tension right away. The entire financial industry is built on metrics, right? Performance, timing. It's a game of logic.
It is.
Yet, Housel argues that the outcome of your financial life isn't dictated by how smart you are, but by, well, how you behave with money.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is understanding why that matters so much. I mean, most people get the basic arithmetic of saving and investing.
Sure.
But they still make these huge mistakes. Housel explains that these mistakes, they come from a critical lack of emotional discipline.
So things like fear and greed.
Fear, greed, risk, luck, patience, all of it. If you can't control your own behavior, no amount of intelligence is going to save you.
So we're shifting the question from how do I maximize my returns to something more like how do I just maintain my sanity while the market is trying to drive me insane?
That's it. That's the whole game.
Let's start with the root cause of all this behavioral chaos then. The personal equation. We all see it, right? Two people, identical education, identical high incomes, yet 20 years later, their financial outcomes are radically different. Why?
Well, the differences are anchored deep in what Housel calls our different money stories, our financial decisions. They aren't rational equations. They're products of our past.
Our experiences.
Exactly. If you grew up watching investments collapse, or your parents struggled through a specific recession, that history creates these powerful cognitive biases.
And those biases stick with you.
They anchor your risk tolerance today, even if the world has completely changed.
I think that's maybe the most important idea he offers, just acknowledging that what seems like irrational spending to you might be perfectly rational to someone else.
Yes.
It's all based on their personal context. It forces you to pause before you judge.
It really does. Personal finance is genuinely personal. And tied directly to that are these inescapable external factors, luck and risk.
Right. We love to think success is all merit and failure is all incompetence.
But that's just dangerously simplistic. Housel argues that. Well, let's define it.
Okay.
When he says luck, he means things outside your control that give you a huge tailwind. Being born in the right decade for tech, for example.
Or meeting just the right person at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or starting a business in a booming industry. Conversely, risk is the bad luck that can hit anyone. A sudden health crisis, a global market crash.
Things you just can't predict.
Right. And the real insight isn't just defining the terms, it's how you apply it.
Which is where humility comes in, I guess.
That's it. When you internalize that luck gave you a boost, you approach your success with humility. And when you see failure, you approach it with compassion, recognizing that sometimes risk is just too much to overcome.
So it changes the entire emotional game of comparison.
Completely.
Okay, so once we understand that our starting point is messy and outcomes are subject to chaos, what's the solution? What's the core principle that cuts through all that noise?
The solution is, well, it's probably the most unsexy financial concept imaginable.
Which is?
Time, consistency, and patience. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need perfect timing. You just need endurance.
The power of compounding.
The sheer mechanical strength of compounding over decades. It outweighs almost everything else.
And nothing illustrates this better than the Warren Buffett example. I mean, Housel uses this to such great psychological effect.
It is the ultimate aha moment in the book.
We all hear his net worth thrown around, but the timeline, that's the real punchline, isn't it?
It is. Buffett's net worth today is monumental, of course. But here's the critical data point for anyone in their 20s or 30s listening.
Okay.
99% of his total net worth was accumulated after his 65th birthday.
99%.
Yes. He started young and he was good. But it was the time, the sheer consistency of staying in the game for 8 decades that really did the work.
That one statistic is just a fantastic antidote to our whole culture of instant gratification, of trying to double your money every 6 months.
It is.
It just fundamentally proves that the main variable you actually control is time in the market, not timing the market.
But here's where the behavior part gets so hard. It is incredibly difficult to stay patient when the whole world is screaming about the next hot stock or the quick buck your neighbor just made.
Consistency is simple, but not easy.
Not at all. And that difficulty leads us right into a really crucial behavioral shift in saving, which is in the next lesson.
So traditional advice is always save for a goal, right? A house, a car, some retirement number.
Right. But Housel suggests a far more powerful psychological reason to save. He argues you should save money primarily to buy flexibility, to buy freedom.
The goal isn't the down payment, it's independence.
Exactly.
What does that freedom actually look like in practice, though?
It's the ability to walk away from a bad job without panicking. It's weathering an unexpected medical bill without going into debt. It's simply having control over your own time.
So it's about having options.
Yes, that protection against the unexpected, that flexibility, he describes it as the single most powerful psychological benefit of wealth. Far more than buying a luxury item. You're saving to buy back optionality in your life.
Buying freedom rather than buying stuff. That is a huge mental pivot.
It is.
And it takes us directly into the mindset around accumulation and consumption, specifically the trap of just endless chasing.
Which leads to lesson 5. Do you know when you have enough? The difficulty here is that enough is a moving target for most people.
The goalposts keep moving.
They keep moving. This endless greed forces people to take these massive, unnecessary risks. They're chasing more status, higher returns.
And ironically, that's what makes people lose everything they've already built.
Precisely. We see otherwise successful people get completely wiped out because they just couldn't define their personal finish line.
So finding what enough means for you is the key.
It's the only thing that brings genuine peace. It lets you avoid those high-stakes, ruinous decisions. Peace of mind is the ultimate financial asset.
And that struggle with enough is all driven by comparison, which brings us to the next lesson. Wealth is what you don't see. We live in a world where we judge financial success based on what we can see. The car, the house, the vacation photos.
And we need to fundamentally distinguish between spending and wealth. If someone is driving a brand new expensive car, the only thing that proves is that they spent money.
Not that they have money.
Right. True wealth, the savings, the investments, the emergency fund, is inherently invisible. Why? Because it's the money you haven't spent.
So the person who looks the wealthiest on social media might actually have the lowest net worth.
It's very possible. They've just converted all their potential savings into visible liabilities. Meanwhile, the person quietly building vast invisible wealth is completely off your radar.
That's the reality he wants us to internalize, isn't it?
It is. And it changes your whole outlook on comparing yourself to others. You stop judging your financial journey based on the visible signs of consumption around you.
And you start to recognize that real independence, that flexibility we talked about, is the wealth you intentionally keep hidden.
That's it, exactly.
Ultimately, what Housel provides here isn't a financial guide so much as mental scaffolding.
That's a great way to put it.
And the delivery of the material, which we reviewed in the audiobook, is key. It's so smooth and calming. It avoids all the jargon.
It's just simple, powerful stories. It feels less like a lesson and more like a wise friend just explaining how the world works.
Yeah.
And that narrative approach is why it's so effective. It's perfect for, say, an experienced investor who finds themselves paralyzed by panic sometimes.
Or just anyone struggling to build consistent saving habits.
Right. It offers mental clarity by shifting the focus from what the market is doing to what you are doing. It's about internal control.
So the ultimate conclusion here is that this material offers these timeless truths aimed at achieving long-term quiet wealth.
The kind built on compounding patience and emotional discipline.
Yeah, rather than chasing those quick, flashy headline returns. It's practical, it's emotionally stabilizing, and it just fundamentally shifts where you place your energy.
It really does. And if we synthesize everything we've discussed today, the need for humility, the power of saving for freedom, the dominance of time over genius, we're left with one last provocative thought for you to consider.
Okay.
And it comes directly from that monumental example of Warren Buffett. If 99% of someone's incredible wealth came after their mid-60s, all because they prioritized time and consistency, What core assumption are you making today about the relationship between speed and financial success?
It's a great question.
And what fundamental shift in your behavior would prioritizing patience and consistency demand of you, say, this week?